Happy Wednesday, folks. It is Wednesday, July 28th, 26th, 2023, and it is Fed Day. And so the Fed raised interest rates today by a quarter of a point, and I think that was already expected. And we got a little bit of volatility at the end of the day, which is actually shows up over here quite nicely on the 1 hour chart. This is the S&P 500. And so it's a 1 hour chart over here, it's the daily chart in the middle, and it's the weekly chart on the left. And you can see that the S&P 500 went nowhere today. It was minus 0.02%. The Dow went up by 82 points. The Russell went up by 14 points, and you can see the corresponding percentages there. The NASDAQ actually went down by 17 points, and oil went, at least as far as the USO ETF, went down by 0.7%. So let's look at these individually real quick. So that's the S&P. Nothing new, been cranking higher on the daily chart is really the one that matters the most. We're red, green, red. We're green, green, and green. We're green, green, and green. So um, again, I'm really expecting a pullback at some point here. Maybe we're going to have to touch these. That is a target, and you can see actually I drew a target off of, from a long time ago, and we're very close to it. And that target happens to just line up with that line, which happens to be a high point in the past. So I'm gonna call that. We're looking for really also a capitulation candlestick, something like a shooting star, and the Dow has been the laggard, and therefore it's also been the biggest mover here lately. So having a big up day in the Dow is a little bit of a surprise, but it also wouldn't surprise me to see a big shooting star tomorrow, going into a weekend, which is, really that move starts on a Thursday and then plays out into Friday and Monday, typically. All right, the Russell actually had this little bit of a pullback and is forming a. Well, I suppose that's whatever. I don't know what you want to call that. It's not a dish pattern. It's a maybe a J hook potentially. We already had some of that action down here, and then we've pulled up high. And again, this whole market, this one necessarily or not necessarily, the Russell's going to hold up, I think, pretty okay in the near future, because the weekly is just getting off the ground and the daily's been moving. So again, a pullback even here or sideways action makes a ton of sense. The Nasdaq actually had a pretty big sell-off the last few days, and then we've been just chopping around here. We ended up the day green on price, red. I think that's still red on the Trumomo indicator on the hourly. We're red on the Trumomo on the daily. We're green and we're red. So, and then we're showing definitely over here on the Trumomo indicator on the weekly that we have two the vol or the momentum is actually starting to wane a little bit here. That's what the dark blue bars are. And oil. Actually, this one was crazy to me. So the IYT actually went up by 2.7% today, and or 2.7% on the Dow Jones Transports. So that's a giant move, and that happened to go up to this 1272 extension on a much larger uh, chart here. So if you know Fibonacci's, that is the target, and we hit it. Looks like today, so that's pretty wild. Um, not a whole lot of reason to be anything but bullish in the transports. USO, it pulled up and it is considering pulling back, and we are above the Harvard line, the gold Harvard line. Monday, I think, is the last trading day of the month, and so we're going to see if this thing can hang out above the gold Harvard line on a closing basis for the month. And if it does, that is a longer term potential buy signal. Bonds have been jockeying around in an area down here and not showing some types of strength, but at the same time they're holding up in a sideways way. So, you know, I actually am going to draw this for you because I talk about this stuff sometimes. But a head and shoulders pattern looks like a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder, and then it's typically goes down from there. This, to me, looks like a potential inverted head and shoulders pattern. And by the way, the target is off the middle to the neckline, and it goes like double. So the target is basically take this tip and put it up here, and you can measure that, and it's amazing sometimes how often that hits. I won't say always, but that's actually one of the lines I had drawn was off of something like that when I showed you earlier that we're finally hitting a target. I think that's amazing, and how often those types of things play out. So I'm not saying this is there yet. We need green here, we need green here. We need to be picking up some, you know, this thing can't just chop sideways. We needed to get up and going, which I thought we were into the other day, and then it petered out. So, and that's enough for these charts. We'll hit stockcharts.com and type in bullish and buzz through the bullish percent indexes. The industrials did nothing today. The NYA did nothing today. The transports have to still be at 100%. They actually regained that 5% that they lost the other day, so that's wild. But it can't go any higher than 100 on this type of measurement. The NASDAQ up by 0.27%, or next to nothing. The SPX minus 0.75%. The OEX didn't move, and the NDX, let's see what it did. Tacked on a new O to the downside. So the NDX is showing the weakness early, probably in the actual NASDAQ itself. So we will continue to watch that and see if the NASDAQ itself actually follows the NASDAQ bullish percent index. And then I'm not going to do a thing on the automatic trading systems because I'm actually running an optimization right now. I do want to show you kind of how this works for, I mean, it's all the stuff behind the scenes, but the systems are just fine. I'll run through the longer term charts over the weekend, but you can see here I'm running an optimization over 101 tests. This happened when I took the screenshot was at 77, had 8 minutes left. It takes 44 minutes to get through, you know, 77% of that. And you know, these are based off parameters that I set and that I've built in the thing. And then what it does is it runs through and gives you the highest profit, but at the same time then I have to do analysis after this is done and go pick does that make sense, or does it have the largest drawdown in an equity curve. So I just wanted to show that because I'm actively running a optimization right now, and I happen to be running it on over a year's worth of data. So, and with that, I'll leave you guys for the evening, and have a great night. Take care, and good luck trading in the markets tomorrow.